to HaYam. Rabbi Sachs is off Shabbat, but whether you are with us in our physical sanctuary or online, it is so wonderful to be together this Shabbat. And if you are with us online, then I'm so glad that you probably didn't have to deal with the rain. Although it is a wonderful thing for us to have rain, we pray for it in Judaism at this time of year. We're going to open with a nigun. So if you catch on, please join me. Lai la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 ya la la lai 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 ya la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 la la lai 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 Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. As we turn now to the back of our Sidurim, to page 369, I want to invite Errol up if you'd like to read this. Eternity utters a day on page 369, and we will respond.
On Shabbat, we share the holiness at the heart of time. Eternity utters a day.
We celebrate creation. We celebrate the sacredness of time.
We sanctify Shabbat with all our senses. Body and soul partake of Shabbat.
Struggle and dissonance are forgotten. We are embraced by peace and by wholeness.
Eternity utters a day. Shabbat is a temple in time.
Shabbat is holiness in time, the presence of eternity, a moment of majesty, the radiance of joy.
We are reminded of our royalty, raised to nobility by our exalted sovereign.
Shabbat ennobles, enhances, it nourishes the seed of eternity planted in our soul.
Shabbat is a gift of dignity and rest, of holiness, splendor, and delight.
Eternity utters a day. We bask in the radiance of redemption.
Shabbat is a taste of the world to come, a time of peace, tranquility, harmony, and joy.
In the time to come, the promise of paradise will be restored, a messianic covenant of peace to bind all creatures.
We are grateful for the gift of this Shabbat as we anticipate the time when all will be Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Errol. Yisher Koch. That reading was written by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. And those of you who have been in Rabbi's class on Monday, it's all about Heschel. And those of you who haven't been to that class and can make it at 7 p.m. on Mondays, I encourage you to go. He's an amazing, amazing figure. He walked with MLK. That's probably what he's best known for, but he was so much more than that. We're going to page 14 now for Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh of HaRachaman, Yedid Nefesh of HaRachaman, Meshochav Dach, אל רצונך ושוכבתך, לה 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 לה, אל רצונך. ירוץ עבדך כמו אייל, ישתחווה לה 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 אל מול הדרך. ידיד נפשיו הרחמן, ידיד נפשיו הרחמן, בשוכבתך אל רצונך בשוכבתך, יה לה 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 אל רצונך. We turn now to page 15 for Lechu Neranena. Lechu lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya nariya letzur ishenu. Lechu lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya nariya letzur ishenu. Nekadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo. Nekadma fanav betoda bizmirot nariya lo. Lechu lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya nariya letzur ishenu. Lechu lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya nariya letzur ishenu. Letzur ishenu, letzur ishenu. We're going to turn now to page 16 for Shiru L'Adonai, and we're going to clap our hands even if you're with us online. Shiru L'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru L'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru L'Adonai, shiru shir chadash, shiru L'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru L'Adonai baruchu shemo, basur miyom leyom yeshuato, shiru L'Adonai baruchu shemo, basur miyom leyom yeshuato. Sapru vagoyim kevodo b'chol ha'amim nifleotav. Sapru vagoyim kevodo b'chol ha'amim nifleotav. Kigadol Adonai umhulal me'od, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים, כי גדול Adonai umhulal me'od. נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ. We turn now to page 21 for Lecha Dodi. We're going to do the first verse, the second verse, and the last verse on the page. At that time, we will turn to 22 for the final verse on the page, and we will stand and face the entrance of wherever it is we are at, if we can do so comfortably. Lecha Dodi, page 21. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמול תפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם לסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. Bottom of 21. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. We turn to the bottom of 22 when we rise, if we can do so comfortably, as we turn to welcome the Shabbat bride. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי יללי יללי, פני שבת נקבלה. You may be seated. Now that the Shabbat bride is here and has been welcomed, we're able to do Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, a psalm meant specifically to be recited on Shabbat. We're actually going to be doing the final 4 lines of it, which begin with the words Tzadik Katamar. Bottom of page 23, we are 4 lines from the bottom. Tzadik Katamar. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי, ולא עוולתה בו. I believe we are actually just shy of a minyan, so we are going to skip the Baruch Hu, and hopefully we will have a minyan soon. And we're going to go to page 28, which begins with the Baruch Hu, but we're going to skip that part and go to the 3rd line, which is where we begin with Ma'ariv Aravim. You know, when we thank God for the evening, you know, I like to think of a beautiful, beautiful sunset, which is usually what I see on the way to work on Shabbat. Of course, it was raining today, So we didn't see that sunset the way we normally would. And yet, there is a certain beauty to the rain, even if it's not our favorite type of weather. You know, here in California, we only get it once in a while. And when it only happens once in a while, it makes you appreciate it perhaps all the more for its differences. And regardless of the weather, the evening does always come, just like Shabbat always comes. So please join me in Ma'ariv Aravim, page 28, beginning on line 3. Ya la la la, ya la la la. La 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 la, ya la 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים, מעריב ערבים. בחוכמה פותח שערים, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם. ברקיע כרצונו, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה לה לה. בורא יום ולילה, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 יא לה לה לה. La 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 la. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, המעריב ערבים. Ahavat Olam is about love. It's also about Torah. And with that in mind, we're going to turn quickly to page 363 to introduce Ahavat Olam with the reading called Torah and Love. That's page 363. And Phil, would you like to lead us? Would you like to come up? Wonderful. It's page 363, and Phil is going to lead us responsively. Yes.
Your love, O God, is reflected in our ability to love.
Your compassion is reflected in the lives of the compassionate.
Our ancestors were such people. Through their vision of you, they learned the laws of life.
May we be worthy to learn them too. Creator of mercy, open our hearts.
Source of compassion, lead us to learning, that learning may lead us to deeds and may lead us to teaching others.
May our eyes light up with Torah. May our hearts cling to mitzvot.
May our trust in you lead us to gladness and joy.
In peace, gather us from the corners of the earth and lead us proudly to the promised land.
You have brought us close to your great name, to thank you and to say you are one through deeds of love.
All praise to you, Adonai, who gives the Torah to the people Israel with the blessing of love. Thank you, Phil. Yasher koach. We turn now to page 29 for Ahavat Olam, which this reading set up quite well. It's about love and Torah and mitzvot. Page 29. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. We turn now to the Shema on page 30, and we join together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We turn to page 31, and Brenda, I don't know if you can leave the camera, but if you can, I'd like to invite you to come up and lead a reading in the middle of page 31. 31 on the right-hand side in the middle of the page, where it says, "You are my witnesses." And we'll respond accordingly. Once again, that's page 31 on the right-hand side, bottom half, where it says, "You are my witnesses."
You are my witness, says God.
There is no king without a kingdom, no sovereign without subjects.
When you are my witnesses, I am Adonai.
The coin of God's kingdom is Torah, to be reflected in study and deeds.
God is the first, God is the last. There is no God but Adonai.
The Torah is given each day. Each day we receive it anew, if we wish to make it our own.
Testify for me, says Adonai. In your love for me, teach your children, embracing the Torah now and forever.
We accept God's sovereignty in reverence, treating others with love, studying Torah, our will as we witness. Thank you, Brenda. Yasher koach. We conclude the Shema on page 31, right-hand side in the Hebrew, with Leman Tizkeru. We are 4 lines from the bottom, third word. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We turn now to page 32 for the Michamocha. We are at the bold Hebrew words towards the bottom of page 32. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדח בקודש, נורא תהילות וספלה, נורא תהילות וספלה, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה עלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יבבה בם בם בם, יבבה בם בם, יבבה בם בם בם, יבבה בם בם, יבבה bim bim bam, yababa bim bam, yababa bim bim bam, yababa bim bam. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. You know, that blessing that we just finished is not like Michamocha, the beginning of it at least. It is connected because Michamocha is that prayer that we sang of thanksgiving after we had crossed the Sea of Reeds. But the Chatimah, the ending to that prayer, the Vene'amar blessing, actually mentions Jacob, who was not with us in Egypt. He had long since passed. But actually, Jacob is a big part of this week's Torah portion. And as the blessing says, Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu. Jacob was not as powerful as those around him. God had to redeem him and save him. Ki fada Adonai et Yaakov. And so, whenever it is that we feel that we are in over our heads and we have met our match, which we certainly felt like in Egypt, that is the time we say this blessing most of all. We turn now to page 33. We're going to do the left-hand side. In the middle of the page, it says, protect us with your gift of peace. We're going to read this one together. I'm going to start, and if you can all answer responsively, that's what we're going to do, since we don't have a minion. Page 33, left-hand side in the middle. Protect us with your gift of peace by helping us to overcome temptation. Shelter us in your embrace of peace when we are caught by conflict or desire. When we are torn, heal us. When we are tormented, touch us with tranquility. Cherish our fragmented lives. Make our lives whole again through integrity. When we deceive, turn us to you. When we corrupt, capture our hearts anew. Protect us from ourselves. When we falter, help us to conquer the enemy within. When we blunder, restore us with compassion, us that peace is based on your truth. And it's not very often that I get to say Yasher Koach to everybody, but Yasher Koach. This is Hashkivenu, of course, on page 33, this prayer that asks God to shelter us. Michamocha reminds us of a time when we thanked God for having saved us. Hashkivenu is a time when God has not yet saved us, and we ask for God to do so. You know, it's this whole past, present, future thing. So we're going to do Hashkivenu on the right-hand side, the bottom two lines only, where it says Baruch Atah, second word on the second to last line in the Hebrew. Baruch Atah אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה, אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל. We rise on page 34, if we can do so comfortably, for the anthem of Shabbat, the Vishamru. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And I don't believe we have a minyan, although Brenda, please correct me if I'm wrong. So in absence of a minyan, we're going to skip the Chatzi Kaddish and go straight to the Amidah, which we are still allowed to recite because it's going to be silent anyway in the evening. The silent Amidah begins on page 35b and continues to the end of page 38. If you prefer, there is also a meditation on 39 and page 40. We stand if we can do so comfortably. And when we're done, you may be seated. This time is yours. If you're still davening, please take your time. For the rest of us, we are on page 38, Oseh Shalom. We are in the middle paragraph of the Hebrew, 3 lines from the bottom, final word of the line, Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו אל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו amen. We turn now to page 49 for the Kiddush. We rise if you need to comfortably, and if you're with us online and you happen to have a beverage, be it of the grape variety or not, this is the time to get it out. Page 49. Savri חבריי וחברותיי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר חידשנו במצוותיו והצוונו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. We drink if we have something, and we may be seated. HaYam. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. December has begun, and you know what that means for people of America. It's Christmas time. But of course, as I mentioned in my Migdalor article, since Hanukkah almost always begins prior to Christmas, if it is Christmas time, then it must also certainly be Hanukkah time as well. So, because Hanukkah will soon be upon us, we will soon be recalling our story of victory against the Seleucids, who are often referred to as the Greeks. This is a story of the urges of assimilation and the strength to retain our Jewish identity. To the Maccabees, Greek culture was quite offensive, but as a lover of fiction, I can't help but enjoy stories from Greek mythology and Greek legends. They are, frankly, just a lot of fun to me. And one of my favorite things about Greek legends is that the stories often contain great dramatic irony. The audience is often aware of things that the characters themselves are not. One classic example is the story of Oedipus, who marries his mother without realizing it. And another great example is the Odyssey, in which Odysseus disguises himself as a blind beggar and must maintain the illusion that he has died, having people slander him to his face without them realizing who he really is. And of course, that makes it all the more dramatic when he finally reveals himself. If a Maccabee told me that it was wrong to enjoy these stories, however, I would tell them to relax. Because though the Greeks conventionally believed in many gods, and we only believe in one, our legends and the Greeks' legends have so many elements in common. When it comes, for example, to stories of deception and irony, I believe that our Tanakh can compete with the best of them from any culture. This week's Parsha is Vayetze, and its protagonist Jacob has his entire life story revolve around irony and deception. In fact, the story of Jacob can be taken as both a great comedy and a great tragedy. Traditional Judaism shies away from the word karma and teaches that heavenly rewards or punishments for our deeds occur only after death, if at all, not during life. But Jacob's story shows us that sometimes we do indeed reap what we sow during our lifetime. His story begins just as many Greek legends do, with a prophecy. But in this story, of course, the prophet is not a human, but actually none other than God. Rebekah, Jacob's mother, asks God why her pregnancy is so painful. And God responds to her that the twins in her womb are fighting. And though both of them will be a father to a great nation, in the end, the younger child will be victorious over the elder child. The elder child is Esau, and of course the younger one is Jacob. One day, Esau comes home, exhausted and starving, and begs Jacob for soup, saying that he will die if he isn't fed. Rather than saving Esau's life out of the goodness of his own heart, Jacob takes advantage of him and demands his brother's birthright in exchange for the soup. If this is something that you wanted to do, it's a wonderful way to do it. But Jacob later tricks his father Isaac, who is blind, into giving him the blessing meant for Esau, and he does this by covering himself in goat's hair to disguise himself as his brother. It was his mother Rebekah, though, who urged him to do this. The Torah says that Rebekah favored Jacob. In retrospect, this may have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. God had told Rebekah long ago that Jacob would prevail over Esau, so Rebekah may not have left anything to chance and made sure to fulfill God's words, even if Jacob himself was unaware of these words. Many years later, when Jacob was a father to Joseph and his brothers, the brothers would successfully fake Joseph's death to their father Jacob by covering Joseph's coat in goat's blood. How ironic that Jacob himself would eventually fall for a deception involving a goat after he had done this to his own father. The irony doesn't stop there. This week, we find Jacob as he runs away from Haran to escape the wrath of his brother Esau from last week's Parsha. And there he meets the love of his life, Rachel. Of course, his uncle Laban plays the famous switcheroo, thinking that he is consummating a marriage with Rachel. Jacob actually sleeps with her sister Leah instead and doesn't realize this until morning. The Torah says that the act took place while it was dark, so Jacob couldn't see who his partner really was. To the reader, this sexual accident is an act of great comedy. It's also quite ironic. In a way, this is almost like the Jewish version of Oedipus. Laban is often framed as the villain in this tale, but actually his role seems to be to give Jacob a taste of his own medicine. But the way Jacob sees things, fool me once, and I will fool you right back. Jacob later tries to convince Laban to let him go home. Ducking the question and hoping to convince Jacob to stay, Laban asks him how much he wants to be paid for his many years of servitude. And Jacob responds that he doesn't need money. He only wants the speckled goats and dark-colored sheep from Laban's flocks. Such animals were quite rare at the time in that region. So Laban agreed, thinking he was getting a bargain. Only soon enough, There were tons of these animals, and Laban understandably felt cheated. Unbeknownst to him, God had sent Jacob a dream that is rather funny, but it is Torah, so I do think I am allowed to say it on the bima. In this dream, it was a dream of goats and sheep having intercourse. This seemingly comedic dream is a part of the Torah, and like Joseph, Jacob can't resist the urge to share this strange dream with his family members. But in actuality, this dream was a set of instructions from God, instructions on how to isolate the correct animals to ensure that the ones having the intercourse would end up producing speckled and dark-colored offspring. Once again, Jacob has tricked a relative using livestock. First his father, now his uncle. And once again, rather than risk the wrath of his victim, he chooses to run away. He escapes from Laban and he takes his wives, his daughter, and his 11 sons. And pretty soon, a tragedy worthy of Homer takes place. As they flee from Laban, Rachel steals her father's idols. The Torah makes it very clear that Jacob doesn't know about this. Laban catches up to them, they argue, and among other things, he asks Jacob, "Why have you stolen my idols?" Jacob replies defensively that he did not steal the idols, and that whoever had stolen them would not remain alive. Jacob unknowingly seems to curse his wife Rachel, but she doesn't seem to die right away. And that is pretty much how this week's Parsha ends, in suspense. The readers don't know if the words of Jacob will end up coming true. In next week's Parsha, of course, Rachel does die, giving birth to their final child, Benjamin. And she is buried alongside the road to Bethlehem and is the only one of our matriarchs or patriarchs not buried in the cave of Machpelah. There is still the aforementioned epilogue involving Joseph and his brothers, but at this point, the tragedy of Jacob is essentially complete. He had plenty of amazing qualities, and I don't want to slander his name. However, he deceived his brother, his father, his uncle, who deceived him in turn. And in the end, the one who ends up paying for this seems to be the love of his life, Rachel. He didn't realize that she stole the idols, but in stealing the idols and then successfully tricking Laban in a way to make him think that she hadn't taken anything, she has taken a page out of her husband's book and essentially pulled a con on him. Until now, deceptions involving Jacob have worked out pretty well for him. Even when he was tricked into marrying Leah, he ended up with additional wives and children because of it, and he also got quite wealthy. In the end, though, his deeds seem to catch up to him. The great Rabbi Hillel is famous for saying, "What is hateful to you, do not do unto others." That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. In playing too many tricks over the course of his lifetime, Jacob has certainly done what is hateful to others, and he seems to have paid for it in fitting, ironic fashion in a way that the Greeks would probably appreciate. Hillel also understood what it means to reap what you sow. In Pirkei Avot, it says that he found a skeleton in the water and said to it, "Because you drowned others during your lifetime, they drowned you. And in the end, they too will be drowned." This is what Judaism calls midah keneged midah, or measure for measure. What goes around often, but not always, comes around. So let us all remember Jacob and the many lessons he taught us. In this case, to spread joy, not anger or resentment. It's a lesson that, it's timeless. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn now to page 51 for Aleinu, and we rise if we can do it comfortably. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, בגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא שהונו את השמיים ויוסד הארץ. כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. תקן עולם במלכות שדי. כי המלכות שלך היא לעולמי עד, תמלוך בכבוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. It's time once again to honor the memories of our loved ones who have left the world before us. Honoring the memories of our loved ones is one of the most sacred duties we have as Jews. And if you have a loved one's name on the yard site list this Shabbat, I invite you, if you would like, to recall those people and think about something, perhaps a quality about them that you admire, or your fondest memories together that would really make you smile if you have such a thing to remember. If we remember to remember, their memories will never fade. This Shabbat, HaYam honors the memory of the following individuals. We remember Frank Spunt, uncle of Phil Barton. We remember Saul E. Kupperman, father of Mark Kupperman. We remember Lena Hirsch, mother of Eva Lowe. We remember Meyer Fogel, grandfather of Myra Matlin. And we remember Martin Miles, the husband of Sheila Miles. Zichronam livracha, may their memories forever remain a blessing. And although we don't have the minyan required for us to say the formal Kaddish, we are going to turn in our Sidurim to page 197, where we have Psalm 23, which is a prayer often used at Shivas, and it can be used without a minyan. So we're going to say this in place of the Kaddish, and we're going to do it in English. And even if you would not normally rise for the mourner's Kaddish, we are going to do this by reading it all together. The choice if you want to rise or not is up to you. Page 197. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want. God gives me repose in green meadows and guides me over calm waters. God will revive my spirit and direct me on the right path, for that is God's way. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are at my side. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. Amen. You may be seated. May the memories forever be a blessing. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It is a real pleasure to be together tonight, and we will be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It will be here in our sanctuary. It will also be available online for those of you who want to join us via live stream. After that, our next services will be Friday, December 16th at 8 p.m. and Saturday, December 17th at 10 a.m. Both of those will be both here and live streamed. Following the service on Saturday, the 17th, we're going to have an early Hanukkah Kiddush luncheon for those who are going to be with us in person. I encourage everyone who can make it to attend, but however, we want to make sure we have enough food. So if you plan to come, please contact Brenda to RSVP. Once again, that will be after the services on Saturday, the 17th. Our Zoom classes are going to be continuing for a few more weeks until December 23rd, after which time we're going to take our holiday break for those classes. Rabbi Sachs's class on Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel takes place on Mondays at 7. It's a great, great class I've heard. I know that I can't personally be there at that time, but I gotta say, to be offering that class is a real treat for our congregation. My class, which started this past week, Snapshots in Jewish History, takes place on Wednesdays at 11. Fran's class, her Midot class, which also I believe began this past week, is on Thursdays at 7. These are all wonderful classes and they all take place on Zoom. I encourage you to check them out. Also, next Sunday, December 11th at 4:30 p.m., Andrea is going to be leading an online song session on Hanukkah. Shouldn't be missed. Log on via Zoom, December 11th at 4:30. It's a Sunday. And during the week of Hanukkah, by the way, all of our classes are going to have a Hanukkah theme. And the ones that take place in the evening will also include a Chanukiah lighting. So if you have a Chanukiah at home and you're going to attend those classes, you can light with all of your HaYam family. Please save the following date, Sunday, May 7th. Not that close, but it will be here before you know it. It will be here before you know it. We are going as a congregation to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute to see a very powerful exhibition entitled Auschwitz, Not Long Ago, Not Far Away. More information on this event will be available in our January edition of the Migdalor, but please save the date. That is May 7th. It's a Sunday. The December issue of our Migdalor has just come out. You can view it on our website, congregationamhayam.com. That is amhayam.com. Lots of rhyming in there. Congregationamhayam.com. There is so many great things on this website. We have our past Migdalor issues. We have past sermons, past Torah studies. We have information on lots of great and easy ways to give back to our congregation, such as Scrip and Amazon Smile. If you want to look at the many different organizations and companies you can purchase Scrip for, that list is on our website. And then once you have chosen that Scrip, you can contact Brenda when you're ready to purchase it. This is a wonderful way to give back to our congregation without actually spending money that you weren't already planning on spending. And all that is on our website, congregationamhayam.com. Sunday, January 8th, this coming Sunday, we have our ritual committee and board meetings. The ritual committee meeting is at 10 and the board meeting is at 11 a.m. Only board members can vote, but everyone is welcome to attend if you want to come to the board meeting and give input. If you have something, did I say January? Well, I don't want anyone to miss the meeting, so excuse me if you think I'm trying to control the agenda by controlling who comes. It is indeed December 8th. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Oh, it is January. Oh, so I had it right. No meeting in December. Thank you, Brenda. You see, this is why she's the president. She'll be at these meetings. If you have anything you want to add to the agenda, though, contact Neil Abramson, our ritual chair, or Brenda, our president for the board meeting. Please give them at least 3 days notice when you email them before the meeting. And that will be Sunday, January 8th, ritual committee at 10 and the board committee at 11. Finally, it is winter almost, which means COVID numbers are once again growing exponentially. While our mask policy is still optional, we want to encourage everyone to remain cautious and be safe in whatever way you feel is most appropriate for you, whatever that means to you. Shabbat Shalom to you all, and we're going to wrap up our service and conclude on page 13 with Shalom Aleichem. on the second half, the bottom of the page, page 13, and we're going to end the final verse with Shuvchem l'shalom instead of Tzedchem l'shalom. Excuse me, it is the top half of page 13. Please join me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech Malchi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech Malchi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech Malchi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and I will see you whenever it is we next meet. Have a wonderful day of rest.